ఓం శ్రీ గురుభ్యో నమః. అందరికీ నమస్కారం. See, one devotee has asked the master the question like this: Master, if Arjuna is just an instrument in the hands of nature or existence or God or divinity, what about his individuality? If everything happens exactly as it has to happen, if everything is predetermined, then what is the meaning of responsibility of an individual person? Is not he just a cog in the machine? Then the master said like this: it is a significant question, my dear. So try to listen carefully to what I am going to say here. You will come upon some basic truths of life if you understand this thing rightly. Certainly, one's individuality will be destroyed if he is forced to be an instrument in the hands of another. But if someone becomes an instrument on his own accord, just the contrary will happen. His individuality will achieve its ultimate flowering and heights. There is a great difference between these two states. If someone forcibly turns you into a means, instrument, and uses you as such, you are bound to lose your soul. But your soul will be fulfilled if you surrender on your own and become an instrument in the hands of divinity or existence. Please understand this difference. It is very subtle and great. For instance, if you come and overpower me and fetter my hands and feet, I become your slave. But what happens if I, on my own, willingly volunteer myself to be your slave? Then I become the master of slavery and its architect. So, in this regard, I would like to relate a story from the life of Greek sage Diogenes, as it is really beautiful. Diogenes is passing through a forest. He is naked, walking fearlessly like a lion walks. Some people who are engaged in slave trade happens to see Diogenes. They are tempted by his powerful physique. It is really splendid as that of even sage Mahavira. It is no wonder that both Mahavira and Diogenes discard their clothes and live naked, and they alone can afford to go naked. Although the slave traders are 8 in number, they are very afraid of Diogenes, who looks so powerful, and it would be difficult for them to overpower and capture him. In fact, one who wants to overpower another person is essentially a weak and fear-stricken person. Only a fearless person wants to frighten and dominate others, just to assuage his own fears. A really fearless person never tries to dominate others. He loves everybody's freedom as much as he loves his own. A fearful man is always afraid that if he does not dominate others, others will dominate him. This is the psychology of all wars in the world. That is why Machiavelli says in his book The Prince that to be on the offensive is the best defense, said the master. So the traders are afraid of Diogenes, but as their greed is equally strong, they decided to make an attempt and prepared to fight. They all, because with this intention, they all surrounded him from all sides of him. But Diogenes confounded them in a very strange way. They would not have been surprised if he had resisted them, but instead of resistance, they find Diogenes standing quietly and serenely in his place with not a trace of fear or agitation on his face. He said, "What do you want? What is your intention?" The merchants embraced and hesitatingly tell him that they want to capture and enslave him. Diogenes laughs and says, "Why make such a fuss about it? You should have just asked me and I would have agreed. Where are the handcuffs?" He speaks as if he is the master and they are his slaves. Then they said, "It is something incredible. The way you have put yourself in our hands is unbelievable. You baffle us really." What Diogenes says to them is very significant. He said, "I have learned the secret of freedom, which is to become a slave on my own. Now no one can rob me of my freedom. You have no way to enslave me. There is no use putting fetters or chains on the one who has given his hands for handcuffing without their asking. If you are forced against your will to be an instrument, if it is not your own choice, then you are certainly a slave and your individuality is killed, my dear." But Krishna does not ask Arjuna to be such a slavish instrument. He only wants him to understand the reality and to flow with the stream of existence. It is foolish to fight with the river of life and try to swim upstream. He says to Arjuna, "Leave yourself in the hands of life, of existence, and you will be fulfilled, my dear." If someone surrenders himself to truth, to existence, to the whole, and surrenders with full understanding and joy, then his individuality, instead of being crippled, attains to full flowering and fruition. Then he is his own master, and there is no better way of proclaiming one's mastery than the way of surrender. My dear, try to understand these things very clearly. There is no better way of proclaiming one's mastery over himself than the way of surrender. If I surrender, it means that I am my own master, as no slave surrenders generally. A slave is just overpowered and captured. By surrendering, Arjuna does not become a cog in a machine. He really becomes a man with a soul. He becomes godly. For the first time, his individuality attains full flowering, and it happens effortlessly and naturally, my dear, concluded the master. So, this is all about the will of the person and individuality. Thank you all.